Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay.
Had a pretty great weekend. Um what did I do? Okay. Saturday, I my friend is in a sorority and in her Stockton chapter, all the way in Stockton.
I was like, whoa, that's fun.
They had a what's called a sneaker ball. So
Oh,
everybody dressed up in dresses and then wore sneakers. And so they did that last night. But for my television downtime, been watching um Deep Space Nine
that's right.
and saw a General Hospital character or actress. Um the Robin, I forget what her last name is, but who she played Sky Chandler Quartermain. And she
Mm-hmm.
was in season 1, episode 20 of Deep Space Nine. And she played a villain. And it was funny because the main character, I guess the captain, she had a gun and the captain tried to run after her and he did like a Superman jump. And it was super corny just to capture her. So it was hilarious. But she was on there. So I'm looking forward just to see, point out, General Hospital actors that might be on the show because that's, already we've had um some actors. Elizabeth's mom was on the new Next Generation,
Mhm.
and Jeannie Francis's husband is all up in there. So I'm just looking forward to seeing, other actors pop.
Yeah, I think the Star Wars or Star Trek universe is
Mhm.
kind of like Galactic Law and Order, if you will, where it's like
Yes.
everybody goes through it.
Mhm.
So that's really cool. It's a couple of like GH Facebook groups I kind of peruse. And so
Okay.
every time like another actor from the show pops up in a different show, they're like, oh, it's this person or that person. So that's kind of cool too.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then also it was, May the 4th, Revenge of the 5th or the Sith. And then, this is the month of May. So, it's still kind of Star Wars-ish theme this week for me. And I watched the season 2 of Visions, which is basically their anime version of Star Wars. I watched that this morning and it was pretty good. It was cool. So I'm doing really good. I'm doing okay.
I love all of this TV down. I watched all these things and I'm doing pretty good. Um, that's really funny. Yeah, I'm doing well too. I just recently got back into my Apple workout dance videos, which has
Oh,
felt
nice.
really good.
Yeah.
Um, I am not a dancer, but when I am alone doing these Apple workout videos, I am a dancer. You might as well call me Aaliyah out here.
Oh,
Uh,
I need to check
like,
those out
in my
then.
mind, that's
Yeah.
what's up.
I need to check those out because when I was at the sneaker ball, they played the song, Back That Ass Up.
Of course, as you do.
Really, really popular back in my youngin' days when I was in college. And I remember, doing the do. And I couldn't do it this time because my knees were like, no. And so I was like, I can't anymore. I can't.
Um, Tanya, you're in great shape if your knees can't do it. Like I know my knees can't, which is why I'm telling you that in my mind, in my heart, in my thoughts, I am dancing. I'm sure that anybody else would be like, "What is going on?" This is why I do this in the privacy of my home, and break a sweat. I feel good. Yeah, I mean, you ride your bike, so after like a really good workout, you feel really good. So that's how
Yeah,
I'm feeling.
because you're like warmed up. Your
Yeah.
knees are like, yes, I can do this. But after the end of the day, and you're trying to go out dancing with your friends, your knees are like, no, no, sister, it's not happening.
And I'm just trying to get myself in order because I want to see Beyonce.
Mhm.
It's the day after my birthday in New Orleans, and I did not realize that it was the last day of the tour. So I'm
Oh,
seeing Beyonce on the very last day. I gotta be in order. You know what
You
I mean? I got, what is this? 4.5 months to like get my stuff together. So, I'm gonna be dancing every day. If you want to add me on the Apple Watch,
Oh, yes.
hit
I'll
me up.
find you.
Accountability partners.
Yes.
There's like a 20-minute Beyonce workout, like a dance workout, and like the first time I did it, first of all, I was exhausted.
Mhm.
Um, but now I'm just like, this is like warming me up. I'm ready. Gotta get in because I'm gonna be doing more than 20 minutes of dancing at the Beyonce show. So I
Of
gotta
course.
be,
That's gonna be like
gotta
at least
be.
a couple hours. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think. I really enjoyed this week of GH, so that was cool. It was very highly rewatchable, so I watched it twice. Um, Everybody is talking about watching Queen Charlotte, so I
I know
guess
everyone's talking about it. I'm like, dude, I gotta watch it because people keep talking about it.
I know. So I guess I'm
Mhm.
gonna do that, and I'm really behind on the Flash, so that's my.
Oh, I was like, I'm a whole season behind on the Flash.
I mean, I usually do am behind on it because I hate commercials, and
Right.
so I love to watch it when it gets to Netflix. But I love me some West
Mhm.
Allen for life.
I'm so
Um,
sad. This is the last
I know.
season.
I'm just like, please get in a rom com or something. I just think Candace and Grant's chemistry is very special, and
Mhm.
like how much they care about the characters and care about the fandom, is really special. So, you know. Watch The Flash from season 1 if you've never watched it. You'll enjoy it.
Have you watched Guardians of the Galaxy? I'm behind on that too.
No,
You know
I
I don't do
didn't
it.
see Guardians when it came to like them being the Avengers, but I did hear that this last one is very fun. So
Yeah,
I might hit that up.
I need to watch that. There's a lot of good movies coming out this summer. I'm actually looking forward to it.
And we're pretty much talking about all ABC properties. So cut us a check,
Yeah.
ABC.
Hello, Disney, ABC, all of that. And Paramount because, Star Trek.
That's
But
right.
still,
That's right. And I always shout out The Neighborhood as a show. So that's on Paramount Plus.
right?
Checks. You ready to hop into this week?
Yes. Let's
Okay. As always, please check out the Soap Central recaps. This is just like the highlights of stuff I really enjoyed. So this week we are somewhere in Port Charles and somewhere in Greenland. Valentine surrenders himself to Victor's men and tries unsuccessfully to convince them that he is by himself. Curtis kicks some ass and finds Trina and Spencer and Ace. Victor has Liesel shoot up Valentine with the pathogen and refuses to give him the antidote. Poor baby girl. Laura thinks she's going to save humanity by breaking the vial with the pathogen, but turns out it needs UV light to work. Spoiler alert. Um, it looks like it's the end for our kind of heroes.
Mhm.
Anna Devane shows up in a cloud of smoke like a badass. I can't wait to talk more about that. It was. mm, mm. Anyway, Laura also shuts down a new weather machine. We get a really cute little Robert flashback with that. While Drew and Holly save Liesel, and Holly brings the antidote to Valentine. I must say, this is the most I've ever liked Holly. Moral of the story, this is what I caught from the story. One, don't be an anti-vaxxer. And two, Vanna are soulmates. And I won't be taking any questions about it. Anyway, Spencer and Trina, who keep refusing to leave each other, actually leave each other for Spencer to go after Valentine or go after Victor. Um, Back in Port Charles, Robert, Felicia, and Jordan maybe get the WSB to stop targeting the island and aim their drones at the haunted star. Yes, the haunted star where Spencer is. And we
Mhm.
all watch as it blows up, presumably with Spencer and Victor aboard. As shocked as Laura looked, that's as shocked as I looked. Speaking of Port Charles, the Pikeman deal goes down and turns out Sunny is now moving weapons of war. Mm. So about that too. Dex sends the proof to Michael. Michael damn near kills Willow, telling her that he's been trying to send his dad to prison for almost a year. Now Willow's in the hospital, waiting for Auntie Bone Marrow to make it home. Carly is broke, but acting like she doesn't know what it means to be broke. Give my good sis a Cash App card and don't connect it to your bank account because then they'll take that money from you too. While being broke, she has a little bit of a mean girl moment with Nina.
Mm-hmm.
While Nina regrets calling the SEC, Ava says, let's pop some bottles. Nina says, let's go to the island to Sunny. But all in all, they end up going to the hospital, and everybody gets word that Drew is coming home with that good bone marrow. And that was the week. That was the week. My Lisa will be like, nobody asked about me, but I'm on my way.
But you made it sound like you like with that good bone marrow, like
We've been waiting on it.
with that good weed.
We've been waiting on it. We've been waiting on this bone marrow. Loud pack bone marrow. Anyway, what did you think? This is how you know that we are somewhere in Oakland.
Yeah.
What did you think about the week?
I thought the week was very action packed. Appreciated that. So it was pretty good. I was swept. I was swept. I wasn't wet jet swept.
Well,
I'm sorry. I have to give that honor to Young and the Restless this week. But yeah, GH did its thing, so I appreciate it. I liked it.
I was swept.
Yeah, you were swept.
My
Yay!
favorite moment, obviously, Anna Devane.
Oh, nice.
So Anna, last week she tossed that cuff aside. She said, I'm going to get everybody. I'm going to save the day. And I was like, what is about to happen? Drew is gun to his head. Everything's looking bad. You hear a flashbang in the hallway. I'm like, what's about to happen? And then here comes Anna. It was epic. It was epic. Who loves superhero movies, loves all of that.
Right.
Bane is a superhero. That was my moment. That was my moment of the week.
I'm gonna go and get my man.
I'm getting my man.
We'll have to talk about this, but she finally says it.
Well, she said it when she was getting shot, but this was different. Yeah.
This was totally different.
It was so good.
Yes. My favorite moment actually was Spencer and Victor. Like Victor's just going at him, talking about, how his disappointment is and blah blah blah. And then, he was like, you'll get this was it antigen or whatever virus for me over my dead body. And Spencer was like, fine. Boop. And he went, his head banged to the ground or whatever. He flipped him over, banged his head against the table, and just like that. But the way he did it, he was like, okay, fine, I'm done with you. I'm not gonna sit here and try to convince you to give me this virus. You're not gonna give it up, fine. Over your dead body, fine, I'll do it. And he didn't kill him, which was great. But still, it was hilarious. And I loved that. I loved how that was the end of Victor outside of the bomb. But it was so funny. I cracked up.
It was very cartoonish. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. My other favorite moment was just like you had said, Holly and her confrontation of Victor too, letting him know that basically she was the cause of his lack of being able to come up with heirs for himself. Was hilarious. I think what was her line? I forgot it was.
Now you're making me. I can't remember, but it was really funny.
Yeah, it was something about, he's not 100% or something like that. I'm trying to remember what it
And
was.
Liesl's face, she was like, wait, hold up, what you do? Like, it was, this is like only a week that like
Oh, yeah, here.
high quality professionals could have pulled off.
Yeah.
Like every beat of it was like funny but action, but like it was just so good.
Yeah.
Liesel was just doing these facial expressions that took me out every time.
Okay, I remember what it was. So, Holly was telling him that she was the reason that, that she slipped something into his drink or something. And Lisa was like, what does it matter? He's still alive and kicking. And then Holly was like, alive, but kicking? Mm-mm, not so much. Yes. It was hilarious.
Mm,
And yeah, that
amazing.
was, and I agree. That was actually the first time I really appreciated Holly because she's kind of been, a little bit of the anti-hero coming in and then framing Anna. I still didn't really forgive her for that. And then messing up what was going on between Diane and Robert, even though, I don't like Robert. I still don't like Robert. But she was kind of getting in the way of Diane's happiness. And so, I was just like, I'm not a huge fan of hers. But she came through with that comeback and poisoning Victor and then coming back and helping to somewhat save the day. So save Liesel. So appreciate you, Holly, for that. So
Just for
yeah.
that though. In Valentine's antidote, obviously.
Yes. That was nice. That was
The
awesome.
performer of the week.
Yeah. So I actually a lot of people gave a lot of props to James Patrick Stewart, and I agree. He did a great job. I kind of felt though instead I didn't really feel sorry for him when he had the vaccine and not had the virus and he was just going through these convulsions because I felt it was more funny than painful. That was hilarious. How he was just like, oh, 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 oh. I was just like, dude. And so it was hilarious to me. But he did a great job. And we didn't have to give a shout out to the fact that Helena came back in somebody's dreams. That was cool. She's like, yeah, you're not going to heaven. You're coming down with me. And I was like, she almost, not quite, but almost basically said he's going to hell. Um, which
Can we
was sad,
also talk about how good Constance Towers looks?
right?
I'm just like, bring my Helena back. It was just,
Yeah.
I love her.
That's the only disappointing thing for me was that she was just there as a dream. Like I really wanted her to pop out of that freezer talking about, hey, I'm still alive. That wasn't happening. So I guess. But anyway, I mean, there's still an opportunity. I will not give up hope. But anyway, my performers of the week, I would have to give it up to the ladies. The sisters are doing it for themselves this week. We had, Emma Sams as Holly being a hero, Tabiana being her own version of a hero, smacking that nurse upside the head with the bottle. We had Jeannie Francis in her attempt to try to destroy the virus, but really not really doing it, but still being the hero and leading her own delegation to go and save Spencer and baby Ace and just basically saving the day. And of course, Fiona Hughes, who goes and saves her man. All of the ladies were doing it this week. I mean, the men were basically, support. That's all they've been doing. And, kind of getting away, Valentine getting himself captured. But basically, it was women who saved the day. So, shout out to the ladies who are the heroines of this action story.
Yeah. I would say, well, a few things. I agree 100%. And it's like part of what happens when you lose a character like Jason, because Jason had always been kind of the action character. He was the person who they would send in and like he would just solve and save everything and everyone. Um, and so not having him meant that they had to figure out a way to actually tell better story. Because I think that this was actually really good storytelling. Everybody played their part. I think it's really cool. Like I know like Donnell, for example, really looks up to he like loved Luke. And he
Mhm.
like so no matter how I feel about Curtis, and I have my feelings, it's so cool to have seen like a black man in this like action hero role. Um, like we have seen like a lot from black men on GH where we've seen them be able to be emotional, being like really like in tune and in line and in love with their families. And now we get to see them like save the day. Like he was there to save he was there to save Trina.
Mhm.
So, like that's what he got. And then he had also the moment, and so now he's in this like legacy of the story with Laura.
Yeah.
So I really love that. I also I gotta give it a my performer of the week, Baby Ace.
Oh yes, that baby stayed calm. It was like
We're jostling that kid. First of all, I was very auntie. I was like, put a hat on that baby head. Like,
like he's out there in Greenland with some blanket. I mean, basically.
she was like, we gotta get him a blanket. I'm like, girl, who do not need that burping cloth? Put him in your jacket. You know, like it was just like so
Right.
funny, like the way you think about things. But he was that baby. First of all, loves Nicholas.
Hmm.
You can tell that baby loves Nicholas Chavez. He just looks so content every time he's in his arms.
Right.
It's also clear that he like it feels very comfortable with Tatiana because he was just like sleep.
Hmm.
Everything's like Nicholas got like a or you know, Nicholas asked Spencer has like this bloody face, and the baby's just like, yeah,
Yeah, he wasn't freaked out about it at all.
like, so good. Such a, I mean, I'm like baby Ace, really, really good little actor.
Mhm.
And obviously, like you said, I mean, Helena, who nobody can monologue over a dying Cassadine.
Right.
like Helena. Like Helena, it was just it reminded me of like, you know, back in the day where we would see her and you had
Mhm.
Stefan and you had, you know, like it was just really, really good performances all around.
Yeah, loved it. Very, very nice.
Yeah,
Yay, ladies.
there you go. What's working for
So
you?
what yeah, what's working for me? Tracy, she's still fun. One of the best scenes also, which I didn't mention, was her scene with Wiley.
I
I
was like,
like
who's that lady? Like, calm yourself down, Wiley.
right, but it was hilarious how she was like, "Okay, let me tell you the story of the four little pigs." And he's like, "No, it's the three little pigs." And she was like, "Oh yeah. But anyway, let me tell you the story about the fourth little pig that you didn't hear about. How's that?" So, and I mean, they had this little kind of antagonistic relationship at first, but once she told the story and he was lying on her lap and she was, you know, caressing his hair, I thought that was so sweet. I loved it. I love Tracy with
Mhm.
kids. I just love Tracy. So she's working. She's still on there. I'm still curious about what her ultimate goal is, but I love seeing her. I love having her part of the scene. So I hope that she's with us for a good while.
Mhm. Um, working for me. Broke Carly, working for me.
Broke girl. Yeah.
It was because I'm the kind of person like I like it when my like characters I like have to like overcome something or when like I'm not a person who's like I don't want bad things to happen to my faves. Like I think that can be funny. And Carly being broke it was funny because it was also funny. It just like Nina comes up with her credit card. It was just like the perfect timing of her being salty about it, which then led to her being kind of a mean girl, like, like, girl,
Like
you
she wasn't like thankful or anything. She was like, actually, I hate you even more now that you came to my rescue.
and your daughter trash. Like,
Right. And I'm not going to tell you when Willow goes to the hospital. I just kind of felt like, there's a lot of, as usual, messages on social media about how hateful Carly is and that she's the worst character and blah, blah, blah. And I did feel it was a little low down of her not to tell Nina about Willow being in the hospital and stuff. But at the same time, I loved it. So I don't know. I'm just maybe I'm a mean girl too, or I don't know. I'm just like, yeah.
Ugh, I don't want to get into that what's not working. I'll get into that later. But I think that for me, I don't. There almost feels like this race to like have the most moral character, for your character to be the most right. And it's like
Right.
that's not fun. That's
It's
not so like of course they're gonna make mistakes. Like I've never said that Carly was 100% right. I mean, I think in the divorce and all of that, she's been right. But she's a messy
yeah,
character.
she is messy.
You know what I mean? Like and there are things where I could be like, oh, I could see why you did that, but it was still wrong. So
Mhm.
like not telling Nina about Willow was like, yeah, but why does she need to like show up when Michael needs to like be, like y'all aren't. And so I mean I can see why she didn't do it,
Right.
and it was still like petty. And both of those things can be true, and it doesn't have to mean that she is just like the worst character
Right.
ever walked the earth. Like it's just like a very weird kind of all or nothing. Um,
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. I think that social media kind of feeds into that too, where it's like, and I also think, I mean, just being quite honest, I think that like soap publications and stuff like that feeds into that, because instead of like leading, like I feel like we like what we like and we talk about what we like and we don't judge each other. If you like something, or if I like something, we're not like, well, that's stupid or that's wrong. We're just like, yeah, this is how I feel about it.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's how you lead conversation and like actually are able to like critique things, as opposed to being like, well, we know that people like this, like we've never like misrepresented what we like. It's never been like, well, we don't like Sprina, but we know people like Sprina, so let's talk about it. No, like we love Sabiana, we love Nicholas, like we love this character. Like when we've not liked the story that's being told, we've talked about it, but it's not like clickbait. It's like, no, we don't talk about what we like. I've
Right.
loved Anna Devane since 2001. So when I talk about Anna Devane, that's not because I think that people are gonna like that we talk about her. It's because it's because we like her. Same thing with if you go on Twitter, like Nina's kind of popular. Like I'm never gonna pretend like I like Nina so that people can be like, let's listen to Sunday Shift.
Yeah.
Um, and so you know what I mean? Like, so I think that like some of the social media stuff is just like kind of reinforcement, and like you tweet things, you post things to get engagement, and the
Mhm.
big engagement comes when you say, "I hate Carly, I hate Joss."
Yeah. No, I don't hate them.
Uh,
So I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. So what were we talking about? What's not working?
well, you said, what were we talking about now? Hold up.
Where you haven't said. Oh, you didn't say what was. No, you said something. What broke Carly was what's
Bro,
working.
Carly was working for me. Also, Vanna working for me
Yeah.
very, very much. I wanted to talk like when Anna said to him, "You know my darkness."
Hmm.
I just really loved it. It was like, hold on, let me see. I know I wrote the line down. She said, "You know my darkness. You know what I'm capable of." And it wasn't like, "And you loved me anyway." And it was, like, because that's usually what happens or what comes next in those things.
Hmm.
And it was just like, you know my darkness. You know what I'm capable of. Period. And I just thought that like was so Vanna, and it's so um like shows you like the full arc of the story. Just nobody is doing it like them. Nobody's gotten the build that they've gotten. Nobody is doing enemies to lovers like Vanna. Um, it so poignant, like to see her be like, fuck this barrier. My man cannot die by himself. Like, I'm gonna take this like 20% chance that I might live. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna go stand next to my man. He's bloody. I'm gonna lean and I'm about to kiss him, and then how he's gonna run in with this. You know what I mean? Like, it just for me was like very beautiful, and it was such an incredible story that these two actors have been invested in telling. Because I mean, like the writing for them has been, I think, really good as far as their dialogue. I haven't loved all of the scenarios they've been in, but it is so clear that they think about everything they do. it is so intentional to like bring the best out of their love story. And I think that every beat has been played. I'm really excited to see what happens next. I really hope it's them being able to hang out in a bed for a little bit. Everybody says that Dex and Dex and Joss are in bed too much. I'm like, let Anna and Valentine get in bed too much for a second before their next adventure. But I mean, they have really made sweeps for me.
Mhm.
They have made such an impact on like what it means to be a couple and to think about. And I know we're gonna go meet Finola soon, next month. And one of the things I asked her, because I did a Zoom with her, and I asked what is it like to basically be getting new fans? Because so often in like, mediums like TV, basically like the older you get, the more they push you to the side.
Mhm.
And here she is, like not 20, and is getting like written the best love scene that we've seen in forever. She's getting, this like action moment. She's like part of like one of the most popular couples on the show. For me, the best couple on the show. Like I think it's so cool to have that happen for such good actors. And like I said, I mean, I've loved Finola since I met Finola and Anna on All My Children. I did have a minute when they have Valentine talking about Alex. I was like, hold up, there's no Alex slander that will prosper with me. But I just really think they're working it, and I cannot wait for the next thing that they have coming.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yay. So what's not working for you?
Ooh, you want to take that first? You want me to?
Okay, this might not be popular, but the whole weather machine story,
Mhm.
it just seems like not fleshed out enough and too random for me. Like it was interesting to go over like when Laura walks by this computer and is just like, I remember this, and she kind of does a little recap, which is fine, but it was just like a computer saying random things and it didn't really indicate anything to me. So for people who did not watch the storyline back in the day, it just looked like a computer. And then in the background, Curtis was like, "Oh, this must be connected. This is the weather machine." I was like, it just looks like a bunch of database, machines. And then all of a sudden you cut to Elizabeth and Portia and they're looking outside and they're like, it's snowing. I was like in the and like, yeah, it is snowing. That's neat. Like, like what is that? It's just like it just seems very random and not necessarily flashed out. And so I'm just like, it doesn't seem like it's necessary. Like there was enough action happening with, Victor taking people to an island and then trying to, kill everybody with a virus. I didn't think that we needed the weather story.
Right.
And so I'm just like, why? And it was like weird because at first it was like last year they were having some sort of a heat wave and folks were just like, why is it so hot and blah blah blah. And then they didn't really talk about it until now. And so I'm kind of feeling like this part of the story is like superfluous, extra, not needed, definitely not fleshed out enough to warrant it being mentioned now.
Mhm.
Unless, again, Helena pops out of the freezer and or and just like pulls some like, this is it. I'm alive and I'm about to take over the world again, weather-wise. I don't know. But I'm just like the story right now being just kind of popped into this, whole Victor Cassadine thing just seems just a little like off and not needed, not necessary, I don't think. Um, that's me.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with you. It was random. I mean, I did like. I thought we could have used more flashbacks. Like we had that very random Robert flashback where it was like because Laura remembered the
Yeah.
ingredient for the snow, like the computer looked like she was about to play Oregon Trails. Like it just I didn't understand what was happening. So I thought it was cool to like give Laura that hero moment and like have Curtis like be a part of this like legacy of the show.
Mhm.
Uh, but it was weird. I didn't know
I
what
was
was
like,
happening.
like I don't understand. I don't get it. Because I kind of felt like I want Laura to go back out there and help Spencer. And yeah, she's sitting here in front of this computer looking at it and reminiscing. I was like, girl, get out of there. Go and help Spencer. Go find baby Ace. I'm like, why are you sitting in front of an old ass computer? That's just beep beep boop 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 boop. I'm like,
I was like, who found these noises?
I'm like, it
Well,
just did
old
not
computer
matter.
noises.
It did not matter to me. It did not connect for me. And so I was just like, yeah, it's not working.
Mm. I have two big overarching things that are not working and would love to like hear what you think about them. So one, Sunny, not working. Um, Part of what's not working, it is ridiculous to me to even talk about crimes when Sunny is around. So like I keep hearing all this like insider trading stuff like, well, Drew and Carly did it, they need to be in jail. Really? Because Sunny's about to move weapons of war. You know what I mean? Like, so fine, like if they get in trouble for that, but it's just like so like even when Ava was talking to um
Nina.
Nina, it was like, Ava, you hiding the whole body. Or you
Yeah.
weren't.
So she briefly acknowledged that. Like Nina was like, yeah, but we're not perfect either. And he was like, yeah, don't I know it. Boop.
But it's just like when Nina called in the SEC tip, she called it in from a mob compound. Like, what are you talking about? And so I think they're just like continuing to make Sunny like, or continuing to like force this like moral centeredness or this like whatever
Mhm.
for Sunny, like, or like this kind of backlash I see kind of Jocelyn and Michael get because of their like I actually hate the like getting even with Sunny story. I think it's very stupid. I think I just think it's really stupid. But I don't think a character like Jocelyn has to feel like she owes Sunny.
No.
Sunny is like the reason her childhood was messed up. She like couldn't even be a normal like teenager. If you remember, she was always on lockdown. She had bodyguards. She had all of this because of Carly's decision to date Sunny. Why wouldn't she like feel a way about him? Um, I think that the story was more to like give Sunny something on the other side so that everybody wouldn't just be mad at him. So that you would have a reason to be like, look at how mean his family really is being kind of behind the scenes, even though he doesn't know it. So that people were not just mad at Sunny. Because that's the revenge story never made sense. It would have made more sense had um like something had happened where like there was really some danger or like an acknowledgement like yes this man is dangerous or something happened where like something almost happened to the kids or one of the kids, but other than that it just like was stupid. So I just want to like I think the whole revenge plot was stupid, but we have been sold this mobster with the heart of gold the entire time I've been watching GH, and that's been 20 years. And they made a big deal about the fact that he didn't traffic drugs or guns, which is why we used to joke. Like one of the things I used to joke about is that Jason was like swapping fake Gucci bags, like you know.
Or like we didn't know what the actual business was because
Yeah,
he didn't do any of those other things.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like, to just casually drop that he's now moving like legit weapons of war, and then like that not be a big deal is weird to me.
It is weird. But then I started paying attention to social media chatter, and then they've come up with some theories, which I think would make sense to me, even though. So their theory is that Sunny is actually partnering with the feds to kind of catch Pikeman down. Now, what doesn't make sense about it is that Sunny doesn't work with the feds, but at the same time, it kind of answers the whole, well, why is he trafficking in weapons of war now? and why is he so blasé about it? And they're all thinking like this is a way of kind of like maybe he knows about what Michael is doing and all this kind of stuff. So I think that's an interesting theory, but if we go on with the idea that sometimes GH writers don't know where they're going with stuff, and to think about it from your point of view, like maybe that's not it, and yet they're still trying to make us believe that Sunny is willing to do this, then yes, it seems kind of like almost a hypocritical stance. And it kind of still doesn't make sense. It's still not like really like something that I'm particularly excited about. Like all those scenes I tend to fast forward through. I'm not really invested in Dex bringing Sunny down. I don't think that I don't necessarily agree with it, but I actually think that yes, Michael trying to go after Sunny does make sense to me because Michael has a long list of reasons to hate Sunny.
Mhm.
So I think yeah, that's fine. He can go after Sunny, but having it doesn't. It's weird. Like I really kind of see where they're going with this to kind of make sense because the only way, like Michael may change his mind because of Willow, but then what happens with Dex and where does this go? Is it just fall off or what? So there's must be something, there must be a conclusion that they're trying to get to. I'm hoping that's the case. We won't know. I don't know if we're gonna really know for a while because of the current strike situation. But right now the story is just like fast forward material for me.
I love that. Like, if you are just like a person who like just listens to the show and not watches it, you
Okay.
didn't see my whole disgust the entire time. This idea, like, this is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. And like, granted, like people can like what they like, people can dislike what they dislike. I am not here to tell you. I don't feel like everybody has to like Carly. She's not like the kind of character that is written for everyone to like.
Right.
But I think there's like words like hypocrite and all of this ungrateful and brat, blah, 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 that's like thrown around about Carly and about Josh. And I'm like, but Sunny is like a mom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so this idea that like, oh, all of a sudden now we can assume the very best of him, that
Right.
he's working with the feds, that this thing is happening. And maybe that will end up being the story. I don't think that's where the story was going in the first place, but maybe that will end up being the story. But just the idea that like you have to like believe that he is doing this, I'm not here for it. Sunny has been a piece of shit the entire time I've watched the show, which is why I've never shipped him with Carly.
Mm.
Like, he has been abusive, he has been like harmful. I mean, it it is the job of the writers to remind you of people's characters. And what the writers constantly do to remind us of Sunny is they like drag out the ghost of Mike, which is what they did this week. It's like, why are you talking about your pain to Sasha like she ain't just lose Brando and lose a baby since you've lost Mike?
Mm-hmm.
So like they drag out the ghost of Mike. They love to drag out the ghost of Stone. They love to talk about his history as an like these are things that if you just started watching in the last year, you still know have happened. What you don't know happened is how he embarrassed the hell out of Claudia at that party.
Oh yeah.
What you don't know happened is that he shot Carly in the head when she was giving birth. And so like there are storytelling devices that like are put forward so that you remember these parts of the character versus like other things that you don't. And that's why it's like really difficult for me to like um I think connect the kind of Carly hate with what people, because like people will forget or forgive and it's not just people on social media, this is like actual soap publications will like forgive all the things that Nina has done because like it happened under Michelle Stafford's Nina. But I still got to hear about the stuff that happened under Sarah Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was like this with Willow, for example, when it was crazy. It was like I thought I was like watching a different show because people got so mad about her asking Nina to leave Carly alone.
Right, I saw that too. I
And
was
I
like,
was like, well, I mean, part of the reason Nina has beef with Carly is because of Willow.
mm-hmm.
Her dying witch is like, could you please not use me to be in beef with this woman who's been like a mother to me? I didn't, I like people acted like, because I hadn't seen it yet. I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't seen the episode yet, but I saw some of the backlash. And it's really not, I have everything muted on my main account. So like if some backlash makes it to me, that means it's huge. Because I barely see
Yeah,
it.
it's part of like if you I think Twitter does this thing where if you follow certain subjects, then
Mhm.
it'll bring you the top tweets within those subjects. I
Exactly.
think during that day, it was all about how dare Willow and
Yeah.
Willow this and what and Carly's this and blah blah blah. And I was like, one thing is that it was a way to kind of help us be able to feel Nina's guilt to have Willow tell her to leave Carly alone. Willow not even knowing what Nina did. And so that kind of just piles on. Like I saw the guilt on Nina's face on that. I feel like that was kind of like a plot thing. And I was like, I loved it
It
actually.
was definitely a plot thing. And again,
Yeah.
and like, and I just want to be clear because I don't want people to be like, they try to tell me like I do like people do not have to like the characters or like I watch Days of Our Lives. Somebody had asked who are your favorite Y and R characters, by the way, in like some
Oh, they
comments.
did? Oh.
It was really cute. So like I watch Days, I love Sammy Brady. I
Mhm.
did not expect people to love Sammy Brady by
Right.
any stretch of the imagination. I don't expect people to like Carly, but it's just like I think the problem that's like hard for me is I feel like I'm watching a different show. So so I had seen all of this like backlash to what Willow said, and I hadn't watched the episode yet because it was just like a long day. I had like left the house, I barely leave the house. So I had like left the house and so because I had like some meetings like in downtown, so I was like, oh, when I get back, I'll watch the show. So I'm like just kind of like looking on my phone on my way home, and I'm like seeing this backlash. I'm like, oh damn, what happened? Because I'm thinking, oh, did Willow tell Nina to stay away from her kids? Did she like what happened? And then I saw the episode, and I was like, what? Like it was just like people were like, she's the worst bitch I have ever seen. I was like, so I'm excited actually because I hate Nina, so I'm ready. I'm like, what Willow finna do?
Right?
This is what Willow did. It was just wild. I'm like, and so some of that is like, I think it's like poor storytelling, right? Like I think that Willow should have said, listen, I know out of the beef that you have with Carly is because of me, and I don't want you to have that. But
Mhm.
I still just didn't feel like what she said warranted that response. I was like, okay, well,
Yeah. I think there's like people do put 20 on a 10 a lot on stuff. So I mean, yeah, like really, they do. Especially on social media. I'm like, it's really not that serious, but
yeah. And I think it
that's
also was like the hype of it all, right? Like, so if you're talking to somebody, like it's just easy to like go tit for tat and like turn
yeah.
up, turn up, turn up or whatever. And so maybe that's what happened, but I just didn't see it that way. And again, I like Carly, I don't like Nina, so it wasn't for me to see that way.
Mhm.
But I was like, this feels awkward. So anyway, Sunny's not working for me for all of that reason. And the other thing is that it's not working for me is the cancer storyline. I think it's just poorly told. I think that it's not Willow's story, it's not Michael's story, it's the story of Nina versus Carly.
Mhm.
And part of the reason that the Nixon Falls fallout was so bad when it should have actually been really good is because it was Nina versus Carly. If that fallout would have been about Dante and Christina and Michael and this and that, if we would have seen the like, not just heard about, oh, you know, Michael and Christina have this rift, or Jocelyn and Christina have this rift, like if we would have actually been able to see these things played out, that would have been a better story. It wouldn't have just been, you know, like Carly's kids versus whatever. Christina
Right.
had hella smoke for Nina. Even the time in which Nina and Sonny slept together was because Nina was overhearing Christina. And instead
Right.
of saying to Christina, I think something, you know, your dad had this like moment, I think whatever, you know, he hadn't been on his meds, like you should go check on him. Even if they would have like allowed that to happen, and then Christina would be like, he's fine, I don't want to do it, and then Nina showed up,
Mm-hmm.
that in itself would have even been different. But Nina should have, or Christina should have all the smoke for Nina.
All of it.
All of, like it just doesn't, it never made sense. And so because but they were trying to tell this other story,
Mm-hmm.
and the story about Willow is not about her either. If that story was about her, we would have been with Willow and Michael as they were trying to have a baby. We would have heard maybe Willow not thinking she could have any kids. We would have gotten her pregnant. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm obviously pro choice. Like obviously believe that women have the right to do whatever, or people who get pregnant have the right to do whatever they want to with their body. And I think it felt like pro-life propaganda to me, that like she was like 5 weeks into her pregnancy and found out she had like cancer, and instead of having an abortion and taking care of Wiley, they had her like go forward with this pregnancy. It felt like propaganda to me. I think it would have been, and that has made the story not hit as good as it could have. Where if she would have been further into her pregnancy and then we found out she had cancer, I think that it would have been easier to like tell, and I would have more sympathy for her. It's really hard. I mean, I've had lots of people in my family die of cancer. It's really hard to like be watching a cancer story and not really have sympathy for her. Like that's like very weird for me. But I don't. It's like people gotta beg her to live every 5 minutes. Like even now, Michael's like, you gotta stay in the hospital if you want to live. Well, can I go home? Because I'll come back every day, girl. You don't have days. You like you about to die right now in this moment. And you talking about, so I'll come back every day. It just like didn't make sense to me. And it's such a poorly told story, which is part of the reason I was like, I don't even want this ALS story told, because if this is the way you're telling this cancer story, I don't want you telling anything else. Medical, like your general hospital should be able to tell a medical story better than this, and they just aren't.
Yeah. And I think and then they have too many stories going on where they don't have the time or the bandwidth to really invest in this story the way they should. Um, so I kind of agree. I don't necessarily, yeah, I think, yeah, I think the cancer story is not about cancer. It's just about adding like some sort of extra drama to the whole Carly Nina thing. Um, so I kind of agree with you on that. I've enjoyed parts of it, but not all of it as a whole.
Mhm. When it
So
should actually be a really good signature story for Michael and Willow, it's not.
yeah. And it's a shame to kind of, yeah, treat something as serious as cancer as just a plot point. So I
Yeah.
kind of agree with you on that.
Because if
And
you think about back in the day when Emily had cancer, oh,
right.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I agree with you on that, and then I also agree that I probably am not gonna look forward to this ALS. I'm not looking forward to it anyway, just because of who has it.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, if they're gonna treat it not seriously, then yeah, I'm not gonna look forward to it.
I mean, it's the same thing they did with the with Sasha's storyline. With like, if you don't have people on enough, then like it's not a serious story, or you're not going to be able to treat it with the seriousness it deserves. But I was going to say is like, if you remember back in the day when it was like the Xander, Emily, Nicholas, like love triangle. Emily's cancer was about herself in that triangle. It wasn't about like I mean, like Monica had a part in it because of who she of like what she had been through, but it wasn't Monica's story through Emily. And I think part of the problem with Michael has always been that all of his stories have been actually stories about Sunny, Carly, and Jason. And this one actually is like no different. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, we did start talking about Christina, and
Mhm.
speaking of, we found out this week that Lexi Ainsworth is leaving the show. So Lexi's leaving, and Kate Mancy, who played Abby on Days of Our Lives, is going to be here. And so speaking of, and I do want you to answer this question about who are your fave actresses from Y&R and Bold and the Beautiful. Kate had always been like a fave of mine from Days.
Mhm.
Um, she's like very capable, very talented, and I'm gonna really miss Lexi. I think there was something really special about the chemistry she had, and I'm not necessarily a Christina fan, but I am a fan of like loyalty to people who have played characters for a long time. And there was like a really special chemistry uh between Alexis, Sam, Christina, and Molly that I'm gonna really miss um with a new actress coming on.
Yeah, I'm disappointed just because I am a huge fan of Lexi. Um I've been trying to beg this show to give Christina more of a storyline. I think at least for the good part of the year. I've been wanting to see Christina's real reaction to Nina. I think the reaction that they gave her was just really like dumbed down of Christina as a character. Did not like it. Because Christina would have been the first and the last and to continue to have smoke for Nina, the Christina that we know. She would have 100% had smoke for Nina from the get.
Mhm.
So the way I treated, the character and Lexi, I just didn't think it was right. I didn't quite know if it was something because of her choice. I did know that she was traveling a lot, and I don't know, maybe it's because she knew that she wasn't going to get a lot of story on GH, so she just decided to use her time to travel. That's fine. Um, I also kind of feel, and not to take agency away from Lexi, if it's true, like she gave a video statement saying, that she's actually, you know, exploring new options for herself, that it was kind of a mutual outcome. The way she said it though, it didn't sound like it was mutual. I think she was trying to, put a good spin on it.
Yeah,
I didn't quite believe
very
it.
gracious.
Yeah, very gracious and a good spin. But it doesn't really, to me, sound like it was a decision that she's made. So, I'm disappointed. But I do like Kate Mansi. I did watch Days of Our Lives briefly, and I liked her. And so I think she'll do a good job. I think most actresses will do a great job at a story that they're given. So I'm not like gonna hate on her when she comes. No. But I'm just, disappointed that was done to Lexi. So as far as my favorite characters, I don't know if you want to comment on what I
No,
said.
please, and I can go back. I can double back on Lexi. Tell us your favorite characters on these other soaps that I don't watch.
So on Young and the Restless, my favorite characters are Adam, who is a son of Victor Newman, kind of like a black sheep of the Newman family, supposedly, but I love him. I like Nick Newman, who's Adam's son, because I like the actor Josh Morrow. He's hilarious, and he's really good at his story. I don't necessarily like Nick makes some bad decisions. Right now, Nick and Adam are in a triangle over Sally, another character I like, who actually came from Bold and Beautiful. So Sally's about to have a baby, Adam's baby, but she's in a relationship with Nick, Adam's brother. So it's like a triangle, a love triangle. Weinhardt does those things really good. Another character who I like, I like the Newman kids, but I like Victoria, but she's a bitch. But she is also the head running Newman Enterprises right now, and she owns her stuff. Like she's having an affair with a guy who's in a relationship. And so
See over there.
yeah, it's super busy. And so she's having an affair. And she ain't even she's like very like she like shy about it. She's just like, yes, I'm after this man. No big deal. Um Phyllis, I like Phyllis. Michelle Stafford, obviously a phenomenal. I love her. Phyllis is going through some things because she just faked her death and murdered somebody and told her daughter and told her daughter to keep it a secret, which is really hard, really tough to deal with. So I love that. I love her daughter is named Summer. Summer's having to keep this secret, and so the woman who's accused of Phyllis's death is Diane Jenkins, who is the mother of her husband. So she has to tell her husband, she has to pretend like her mom's dead and let her mother's husband be her husband's mother be accused of the death, even though Phyllis ain't really dead. So it's just there's a lot going on Y&R right now. So
Yeah,
that's why
I might tune in.
so it's like really crazy. So there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of characters, but those are my faves. Victor Newman is always great because again, he's like Adam Chandler on All My Children, but he's been there for all along. He's trying to, tell Sally that, he told Sally that he'd pay her a bunch of money and start her up a new business if she left the baby. So he can left the baby. And so she's like, I'm supposed to give up my child. He's like, yeah, and I will raise the child and the child will be happy. And so, I know you'll make the right decision, meaning give me your baby. So it's just like, the gall, but yet the power that man holds, it's just amazing.
Well, I do know I was watching Carpool Karaoke
Mm.
and Lil Nas X and James Corden had like a like a cameo on Bold and the Beautiful.
Uh-huh. They had a who?
And a cameo on Bold and the Beautiful.
Oh,
Like
yes, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, the Bold and the Beautiful be having some stars on their show. They had Jimmy James Walker on this week.
Oh yeah.
Dynamite. And then they had the little kid that likes corn.
Oh
He
yeah.
was on there too. Um, I'm still kind of getting new to the Bold and the Beautiful. The Bold and Beautiful is interesting because they go through their storylines pretty quickly, but they also recap a lot all the time, which is a little annoying. But my favorite character on there right now is Steffi. She's the granddaughter of the titular character Stephanie Forrester. She's the granddaughter, and she be calling folks out a lot. So I love her. I love her attitude and her energy. Um, yeah. And her mom Taylor. I like her mom Taylor.
Mhm.
Brooke is also one of the main characters who's like she's one of those who's prolific in her relationships. Like she's slept with or been a wife to almost all the main men on the show except for her sons. So yeah, she's
Well, at
really
least there's that.
great. But right now, Brooke and Taylor are supposed to be enemies, but now they're friends. So that's an interesting dynamic.
Mm.
But yeah, Steffi's probably. Oh, and Thomas. Thomas is Steffi's brother. I like Thomas because he's cute.
Oh.
But yeah.
Well, thank you for that question. And now I'm
Yeah,
gonna
thank you
start
for
watching Young and the Restless because
it,
that's
those folks are young and restless. They are. Yeah, even the old folks are young,
and
young in
Restless.
mind and energy and restless.
Black people love Young and the Restless.
Oh yeah, and Shamar Moore. Oh my god, poor Shamar Moore. Shamar Moore is about to be on the show because they're going to do a tribute to Christoph St. John, who used to play Neil Winters on the show, and so they're doing a tribute to him. But I just saw the bad news that they are canceling Shamar Moore's show.
What?
Yes, what? They're canceling it. I know you're not feeling too bad about it because it's a show about cops, but but Shamar Moore was doing a great job, and he was the lead.
He can go back to Criminal Minds. It's fine.
Yeah,
He'll
he needs to go back to
work fine. Uh, in all ways, Shamar Moore is fine, and
yeah.
he's gonna be fine.
Lord.
Like, but sad news. Anytime your show is canceled, yeah, good luck, Shamar. Um,
He just had a baby. He's doing good. He's all right.
and I
It's
don't
just the cast, but he was talking about, yeah, he's like, he feels bad for the cast and the crew because a lot of times they don't bounce back in the same way that these actors do. So,
yeah, especially going into the writer's strike.
right.
So I've been thinking a lot about the strike and with this recast of Christina. So I think Kate Mansi starts later on this month.
Hmm.
Um, and the writer's strike has started. And so I'm interested to see, like, there clearly is like some story they have in mind for Christina. I have like wanted it to be in conjunction with the endometriosis thing for Molly, where she like carries Molly and TJ's baby, a la Kendall
Greenly.
and Greenlee on All My Children. I want it to be more of that and less Lulu and Maxie, where it's like, you know, her daughter or her kid with TJ and
Yeah.
not her kid with whoever else.
Right.
Um, so yeah. Um, but yeah, there's clearly like some story in mind. Also, they've like foreshadowed a lot of like drama between Michael, like basically Carly's kids and Christina. So I'm interested to see if we get a little bit of that. And then Kate Mansi, I think, is like 35. So I don't know if they're gonna age up in some kind of way like Christina. Um, so we'll see. I mean, obviously, we'll support and welcome Kate Mansi in. Does not change that I am really sad for Lexi. I just also love when characters play a character for or actors and actresses play a character for a long time because you're
Mhm.
able to do flashbacks.
Right.
So you're able to see like just like the investment made in a character, an actor over time, and I think that there is not a story that Lexi couldn't have carried. I think she would have been fine. And I think it would have been nice to still have her be able to play with the folks that she knows. So yeah, I that's a complicated way to say. Um, Looking forward to seeing what Kate brings, and we'll welcome her. Because I already like the actress, and very, 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 very disappointed um that that we're losing Lexi.
Yeah.
And so with the writer's strike, the last time there was a writer's strike, GH was to still move forward the text message killer story.
Mm.
That happened right in like
In the
the
middle.
unveiling happened in the middle. So I don't know if they had changed it and because of the strike that it was Diego or what, but they did tell that serial killer story in the middle of the writer's strike. So what has your experience been on other shows with the writer's strike, with writer's strikes in the past?
Trying to remember what was going on in my life in that time. So
So
I'm
the last one was end of '07 into the beginning of '08.
I don't know if I was really watching during that time period. Maybe just kind of catch all.
Yeah.
I someone was saying that with the writer strike, we're probably going to see a lot of reality TV.
I mean, that's kind of how that's kind of how reality TV like really popped up last time.
Yeah.
Um, I'm interested to see like if there's gonna be scabs, if like one of the things that people have been really worried about is AI taking over like in different places where AI can fill in. Um, yeah, I mean, it does really feel like a standoff because the writers aren't asking for anything that is like out.
Unreasonable. Here's the thing. I tend to be more in favor of labor
Yeah.
in any situation. Right now, Oakland is going through a strike. The teachers are going through the strike. And Yes, it's a horrible time for parents right now because they got to figure out what to do with their children. But I can't see how we could feel what Oakland teachers are not deserving of adequate wages. Teachers of all people not deserving of adequate wages. Um and what the teachers are asking for is now they're asking for the district to consider some of the things that are for the greater good, like the fact that there's a lot of homeless students and that there needs to be more services and there needs to be teachers helping in trying to provide those services. There needs to be community schools and teachers need to be involved in that. So they're asking for things that they want OUSD to consider when they're making budgetary decisions and planning decisions, and yet you have these administrators making $400,000 a year and then allowing all this other stuff to happen. Like I don't, yeah, I don't see, favor with, OUSD at the same time. And then so when it comes to writers and studios, I was listening to a video I think Francesca Ramsey put out that writers may get 45,000 for, writing episodes of streaming programs that make Netflix millions of dollars. That doesn't make sense, and they don't get to see residuals for that.
Right.
And so your Netflix is profiting off of writers' creative property. You wouldn't have a show if you didn't have the writers.
Yep.
We wouldn't have like teachers. We wouldn't have educated people without teachers. Yet they're the lowest on the totem pole on payment. And so I'm like, it sounds like writers are the same way. Like we wouldn't have these wonderful programs and these shows without the writers. Yet they're treated almost like the worst, and they don't get compensated. So unfortunately, I mean, not fortunately, unfortunately, I mean, I'm just generally going to be on the side of the writers on this. And if, that means I'm not going to get, programming, I'll be fine because, I'm backtracking anyway. I got episodes and episodes of Star Trek to watch. I've got so many programs on Netflix that I haven't caught up on. Like, unfortunately, I still haven't watched The Crown, still have not watched some other good shows. So I'm like, I'm gonna be set for weeks, and I got my job to deal with, which is the reason why I'm gonna be set because my job is.
Job was like I have all these shows to watch. Hey, you're not gonna work.
And I got books to read that I'm behind on. I got plenty to do to keep myself occupied. I don't need fresh programming.
This is a book that I haven't read yet. Sandra gave it to me.
Which one? Oh yeah, you gotta watch Shadow and Bone because they got the show on Netflix.
Right, which is why I'm trying to read the books first.
Oh yeah, read all the books first. I've read those; they're good.
And Sandra has like another set that like has like part of the lore. Anyway.
Yeah, I know all of it. Yeah, I read them. So yeah, and I want to. Oh, that's right. One thing I did watch was "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret." And now I kind of want to go and read all of the Judy Blume books again.
So, listen, nerds will be okay. We're gonna be okay.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Pay the writers so you can have us back, so we can throw all our money at you. But you need to pay the writers. That's just yeah.
Well, I have nothing else to say. I love it when you talk pro union to me. Do you have any hot takes?
I have random comments about stuff that we've already talked about, like
let's do back and forth. You go first.
First one was like Poe Willow horrified over what her husband is capable of. Yes, girl. And the fact that they didn't really bring it up again after she woke up is a little disappointing. Like I wanted her to wake up and be like, you did this. How can you do this to, blah, blah, blah. This is so wrong. But she didn't do that. But she was seriously like, oh my God, Michael, what are you doing? And almost died because of it. So
hilarious. let's talk about TJ having chemistry with everybody because
With that.
TJ was talking to Liz, and I was like, I would like to see it. and then TJ was talking to Carly, and I was like, I would also like to see it.
Wasn't he like one of those like people who we wanted Carly to have an affair with when she was single and free before Drew?
I mean, I feel like we wanted to pass TJ around.
Right, like TJ, like we just did not want him with Molly anymore. We wanted him to be around with Elizabeth and now and Carly and yeah.
Yeah. When I saw him talking to, like, it was like when him and Liz were talking, I said, okay, Liz is lighting up a little bit. All right.
Definitely want to see Liz with anybody but Finn,
Yeah.
and an affair with TJ would be interesting.
Go ahead. Next for you.
Next, what did I wrote? I just like I love the Trina's energy. I ain't leaving anywhere without my man. I don't care. I will stay here and caress his hair while he's passed out. You could go run around saving everybody else, but I ain't leaving without Spencer.
Without
That whole energy, and I know it was Nicholas. She ain't leaving without that man. Who is now? He's like manly. He's like buff. He
I
got
want to
buffed
say
up.
we did not talk about Serena enough because I love their little action moment
Mhm.
where she was like, I'm gonna go, I'll be back in 2 minutes. And then he turns around and it's not her. And then she comes through and hits old girl on the head with the vase and was like, and he was like, "You were right on time." It was just giving action movie. I loved it for them. And
Mhm.
I just really love in the same way that I love that Curtis is kind of cemented in this story and in this history, I really love the same for Trina and for Tatiana to be like when you talk about the Ice Princess, when you talk about the Weather Machine, when you talk about like the old story versus like the current story, she's right at the center of it. And I don't think we've had like a black heroine in a long time in that way. The last black heroine I specifically remember is maybe Angie from All My Children.
Mhm.
Um, and then like when it comes to like a black girl from like the teen scene or whatever, like the young adult scene, it was like maybe her aunt Gia, but that actress wasn't particularly black, and she
Mhm.
wasn't like a heroine in that way. She was, like kind of a foil to Liz. She wasn't like someone who was just on her own. So I think it's so cool to have Trina like set in that way. In this kind of like epic story with her epic romance, it's like very clearly being invested in,
Mhm.
and love to I can't wait to see what's on the other side of this for them.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. I mean, I know we love Brooke Kerr and we love Portia. I'm just concerned about what's going to happen when Trina goes home and she's already right now just totally in love with Spencer. And then I have a feeling Spencer's not dead, but he's gonna be hero worshipped even more so when they get home. And then Portia coming in with this energy, like, okay, you can't see Spencer anymore, and that's just gonna be concern because you think Trina was mad about you keeping her daddy a secret. Try to keep her away from her man.
Oh, it would, it
So,
would certainly not be. Uh, Trina is like that's her man, and she's sitting beside him. Like you could tell Curtis was so annoyed, but she was like,
right,
"I'm not leaving Spencer.
right. She's like, he's like, you need to save your own. Like,
I'm not leaving without my man." And
right.
I cannot wait. I was like the whole time I was happy. I was like, "Wait till Portia hears about this."
Yeah, there's gonna be drama. It's not gonna be a happy reunion as soon as you try to keep her away from Spencer. So
No, but I think like, and I hope that Portia. I mean, well, who knows what's gonna happen, but I think stuff like that is really cool. Like we talk about old stories like Mac hated Stone and Robin.
right.
Like I don't hate Mac because of that. Like it's actually an important part of their story. The same way that like Josh having smoke for Spencer is an important part of their story. Like that makes them I think, and not to compare because I hated Charlie. But one of the reasons that like Charlie was so offensive is that people who should have been against them were like not against them or offensive to me.
Mhm.
Like Monica shouldn't have been happy Carly was like marrying her son. What the hell is this? Like somebody should have been like, this feels really soon from Sunny. Like this should have been said. And
Mhm.
because it wasn't, it didn't give what it was supposed to be given. Like it just never whatever. So like with Sprina, I like that there are people who are in opposition of them.
Right.
Everybody shouldn't be happy for them. Everybody should be like questioning, like, wait a second, what is this? Not everybody, but some people should be. And Josh, her best friend, should be telling her to be careful with her heart, even though she's being a mess with Dex. Like that should all be happening, and it's a part of a good story to me.
Right. I agree. It's going to be great story. I'm just concerned in the sense of they have a great mom and daughter relationship, so I'm concerned. I'm just kind of like concerned about it, but I'm not like too concerned that I don't want it to happen.
Yeah, yeah. No, I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying. I'm just
Right.
concerned about like for audience reaction is what I mean.
Right.
But you know,
I want there to be drama because I want Trina to have good story. So
exactly.
let the
Always,
drama happen. Let
always.
it happen. Is it your turn or mine?
You can go.
Um, I so there was a good section where Drew and Laura were like, okay, we're gonna go in and we're gonna do this thing where you're gonna have me as your prisoner and we're gonna, whatever. But it took them so long to get to the actual station, and all this stuff was happening. Valentine was being poisoned, and they were watching him just like suffer. And I was just kept screaming. I was like, "What is taking Drew so long to bring Laura to the bunker?" I was like, "It's taking too long." That's what I wrote. I was like, "What is
It
taking so
was
long?"
taking too long. It was. It was.
Right.
Um, I laughed when the guard, like, so when Laura threw the thing down and then the guard covered his mouth. I'm like, bro, if this is a toxin, what you covering your mouth gonna do?
Right. Like,
Giving like early COVID when people were like wearing like bandanas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and it was the same thing when they opened the freezer and everybody was just like, "Ugh, this smells bad." I'm like, usually stuff in the freezer don't smell bad because the molecules are frozen and so they're not giving off an aroma. So I was just like, I don't understand, but but whatever. Me
Smart.
breaking down the science. Um, so I kind of felt like there was a little bit of weird editing going on again when it came to Michael and the hospital scene. I feel like they kind of cut some stuff out. Like I think it was like, okay, she and like they call the doctor, she ends up in the hospital, and then he walks in the room and was like something about, you can't leave or something. I feel like there was some dialogue missing. And
Oh,
so I'm just like really noticing their editing. Just like, so it's just weird.
I'll pay more attention. I'm so annoyed by them in the story.
Okay.
I did not notice.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a weirdo in that. When I feel like there's something missing, like there's conversation missing that I didn't see, then I'm just like upset.
Mhm. Um, Robert refusing to say Valentine's name right sends me every time. Are you going because of Valentine? Who is
Melons.
Valentine? Who's that? Every time. Robert, please.
um Tracy and her comment about Brooklyn's wedding night with Chase. That cracked me up too, because she's like, "What do you mean?" Like she's all like Brooklyn's acting like they're not gonna get back together, and Tracy's like, "Yeah, whatever. Once he finds out what you did and all that stuff." But it was hilarious. I loved it.
It was good. I really like the relationship.
Yeah.
Um, when when Sunny said to Nita, "You haven't heard yet," Sunny, who gonna tell her? Nobody fuck with her but you. What are you talking about?
Nobody talked to her but you. That's true.
It was so dumb.
Um, my only other comment left was, of course, Nina wants to go away. She wants to go away and go out of town and have a breather because she doesn't want to be around the fallout of, Nina, of Carly and Drew going to jail. She wants to get away and forget about it. And I was like, of course.
I This was me with Nina because, like, I always have smoke for Nina. Always, always, always. I have nothing but smoke for her. Have smoke saved up, artificial smoke, because I can't stand Nina. And so when she did that, I was like, ah. Here's the thing, I I can't get myself too excited because I more than smoke, I actually just love Fallout, and I
Right.
don't hype myself up for epic Fallout from this story, and there's nothing. So when there was Nixon, when we did Nixon Falls, we had to go through Nixon Falls. We had Nina just wilding.
Mm-hmm.
Nina was coming back and forth, lying to Ava, lying to Curtis, lying to like Harley and Nina and Willow and Michael. We had her put Maxie's kid in danger and like doing the lying with Peter. She was lying to Valentin and Anna. She got Phyllis's bar burnt down. I'm like, okay, these things are piling on. We about to have an epic like arc of her downfall and her redemption. Because like I don't believe that like, I don't have to like a character to know that like, you'll have this downfall, you'll have the like building up. It's like really similar to when um uh part of the way that Franco and Liz got together was that Liz was kind of a pariah and Franco was the only person who like would deal with her because of what she did with like
Right.
Drew Jason. And so the
Mm-hmm.
fact that like Nina never had that pariah phase like actually is like something that has bothered me. And so now I'm watching and I'm just like, okay, so is she gonna have a pariah phase now? Or what? Because this is actually a big deal. Like,
So, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, even Curtis never got mad at her about TJ. He should have. So like,
Right.
is he gonna get mad about Drew, his bestie, or no? I hope that what we're headed for is like Nina having like an epic like breakdown, because I think that Cynthia would and can play that very, very well. But if it's not, it's hard for me to get excited about things like building up in this way when I've been so let down by the way they do her character. They've done her character before. So I laughed when she was like, I was like, oh, so you're so worried about Willow, but you're ready to get out of town on this jet, huh? But I'm like, what does this mean? Maybe it will mean nothing because nobody,
Right.
you know,
Does anything.
all this stuff
No
about
one
like
has.
Carly never faces consequences. I'm like, okay,
Nina doesn't face.
maybe, whatever, but where are the consequences aside from like the things that Nina brings on herself? Like even not saying Wiley was because you took them to court. Like, so anyway, I said all that to say that I wanted to really enjoy that moment, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, are they gonna treat me wrong again? Is Nina not gonna have a downfall? That's how I feel about it.
We'll see.
I have a couple more. Dex needs a drug dealing money counting machine because him opening that briefcase, having a what
Like,
give my guy one of the little, things
huh?
from.
The bank. You just put in the cash and it's like,
I love that you called it from the bank and I called it a drug dealer, but you're right, from the bank, absolutely. Um, Carly being broke and then trying to tell that waitress stories. Girl, nobody want to hear these stories about your aunt.
yeah, she's like, oh, that's like the waitress was like, oh, that's cool. All right, give me your money.
Okay, I'm gonna get your check. That waitress
Right.
could not care less. I was cracking up like, Carly, did nobody care?
Like,
No, nobody care.
she was like, "Oh, do you want this pie? Look, let me just wrap this pie up for you, lady.
You're
I
just
don't
crying for you. Carly's like, well, let me tell you more about my great great uncle. Like, no, girl, nobody cares. Shh,
care."
go find some friends. This waitress, like this waitress was over it, and I was over
It's
it.
like, look, I'm trying to do my job, lady.
The
And
job that
apparently,
you don't even have money to pay me to do.
right.
Cam would never. Anyway, I thought the conversation between Ava and Nina was so weird. And I'm sorry, Nina drags Ava's character down. That was weird. It was weird.
Right.
Her being like, well, people contain multitudes. What? Ava, stop it. It was,
Yeah, I mean, I felt like weird because she was just telling Nina what she did was bad, and now she's like, "Well, you did it, and they deserved it, so let's drink champagne."
it's
You know,
just,
I'm just like Ava contains multitudes apparently because she's like flip flopping on whether or not what Nina did was bad or good. I don't know.
whatever. I mean, people go to jail for insider trading. I'm obviously anti-jail for most, for the most part. But it's really difficult for me to watch people who live in under Sunny's thumb talk about people going to jail for insider. Like, it's hard. I'm having a difficult time with that.
Mm-hmm.
And my last thing is when Victor said, "Get that English bitch," with his own English accent, I cackled. It's like,
His own proper, his own proper English accent.
um, that's all I got.
Yeah, I don't have anything else either.
I do have previews for next week.
Woohoo!
So, according to Soap Opera Digest, it's going to be a big week for Willow and her cancer. She's going to have to be in like a bubble. Yeah. Um, Monday, Dex steals time with Jocelyn. Sunny enlists Diane's help. Carly has a frank talk with Dante. A body is recovered. Willow gives Michael food for thoughts. Tuesday, Michael and Willow share a tender moment. Dante and Sam put their heads together. We finally got a Sante spoiler. They probably will be doing for Carly, which kind of sucks. Sante just never gets any point of view. It's just, our cute little Kim fairies, and that's it. Robert is in for a surprise. Ned defends himself. Nina is concerned. Wednesday, Tracy shares a theory. Olivia is skeptical. I'll be interested to see Olivia because she ain't ever taken Ned's side a day in her life. Maxie needs help. Taggart warns Portia. Sasha shuts Carly down.
Shuts Carly down.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's something like maybe Willow calls in Nina and Sasha shuts Carly down from interrupting. I also wonder if Tracy has a theory and people are like starting to think that maybe doesn't make sense that Ned was the person who did the SEC thing. Because even Carly was like, this doesn't make sense. Like maybe a few months ago, but why now? Kind of thing. I wonder if Carly starts thinking or wondering if it's Nina.
Yeah, and then Sasha shuts it down.
Yeah, so lots of things it could be. I'm interested to see. Thursday, Tracy calls in a favor. Chase throws himself into work. Cody seeks out Selena.
Ah!
Oh, you'll love this. Esme rushes to the hospital.
I'm okay with Esme. I don't
Portia
want.
is grateful. So I'm assuming that must mean that's the day that Trina gets back.
Yeah, with the baby.
Yeah. Friday. Michael makes a big decision. Dex is thrown. Jocelyn visits Willow. Nina weighs her options. Scott is relieved.
Lisa comes home. Yay!
People must come home. Um, I am thinking that Dex weighing his options must mean, or not. Michael makes a big decision, and Dex being thrown is probably going to be Michael deciding not to turn in the stuff with Sunny.
Right.
Um, yeah. So we'll see what happens, but we will be here next week talking about it.
Yeah. All
I
right.
guess I'm gonna go maybe watch some Queen Charlotte because everybody keeps telling me I have to. And we will see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.